Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day and that it continues to get better. So, as some of you may know, announced maybe a couple of months ago, Brianna Stewart of the New York Liberty and Nafisa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx are launching a 3v3 league to be played in the offseason, I believe January and February, called Unrivaled. They recently announced the signing of Angel Reese. As you can see here, Angel Reese signing with new Unrivaled 3v3 Women's Basketball League. I don't know, maybe I'm just old school, but that should be a V, not an X. It's not a piece of lumber. It is a 3v3, as in versus, against 3, 3 versus 3. Anyway, so the league is going to kick off in Miami in January of 2025. They announced the signing of Reese, just today or yesterday? I have seen a couple of different things on the league might just fully be in Miami for the entire season with all of the teams and everything being played there. Although they've talked about possibly playing elsewhere. Now that may be down the line for future seasons. I think playing in Miami for the entire thing would help keep costs down, which is going to be really important. This is not the NBA funneling money. They have investors, yes, but they have investors that are going to want to return. They have the players in the first year are going to get equity in the league. So, of course, those players are going to want the league at some point to make a profit as well. Otherwise, that equity that they're getting is absolutely worthless. So, profitability is going to be important. Now, just like any business, you pitch a business to investors and you have your plan and you give them the plan, and that plan may have, no profitability until year 3 or year 5, and the investors are looking at everything and when profitability happens and when they start getting their money and all of that, and they decide whether they want to invest. So it may be very clear that there's no expectation of the league to make money in its first year or first 2 years, but there's got to be a plan for profitability when you're giving players equity and you have investors that need to be paid. So that right there is different from the WNBA, and I like that part. I do like that part. And also, which I found interesting, is only 10 of the 30 players have been signed. So they've still got 20 more spots to fill, but they've got Angel Reese, Brianna Stewart, Collier, Kelsey Plum, Ryan Howard, Chelsea Gray, Arike Jewell, Jackie Young, and Clea Copper. All good players. That's quality players from the WNBA. Are they all? I think they're all all-stars. Yes. Maybe not Ryan this year, but she's been injured. So she could have made the all-star team. But here we go. We're talking about, and this I think is interesting. It's really helped the league. I don't know if the league, obviously plans were in place earlier because there's obviously a lot of planning launching a new professional sports league. But I just wonder if there was any take, or is just lucky with the timing, thought into what the WNBA was going to be like this year in terms of Caitlin Clark. Because I think even without Caitlin Clark playing, what they've gotten this year with the WNBA has definitely helped with what Unrivaled should be able to do come January and February with their first year, because there's so much more talk and so many more conversations around the WNBA this year than there ever has been in the past. And that can only help this league. It can only help them. So here we go with, I want to get into what they're saying about salary, which is what I really find interesting, because again, the league has to have a plan to turn a profit at some point in the near future. As the number 1 pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, Clark's $76,535 annual salary as a rookie sensation has sparked heated debate about the gender pay gap in sports, particularly basketball. Okay, now I don't want to spend too much time on this because that's a huge topic that's like a minefield, but they put it so I want to address it. And I don't know if this reporter just doesn't know what they're talking about and they just repeat, the catchphrases and so forth and talking points that they hear or that they actually believe this. But there's no gender pay gap here. The WNBA makes 2% of what the NBA makes. That's why there's a difference in pay. I'll see if I can make this as simple as possible. So we'll completely eliminate gender in this, okay? Soccer is a global sport, the most popular sport in the world. Not so much in America. We got the World Cup on the men's side back in '94, able to leverage that into MLS, which for quite a while was like, is it going to fold? Is it going to succeed? We don't know. We've had professional soccer leagues in America in the past that have all folded. MLS looks like it's on solid ground now, maybe finally 30 years later, but they're still not making a profit. And here's the point that I'm getting to. They are men playing professional soccer. Now, let's go over to one of the top leagues in Europe. We'll go with the English Premier League, which is probably the most recognizable name, especially to Americans who aren't really soccer fans. They are men playing soccer. The salaries between the players in the two leagues are night and day, huge gap. Not because of any gender pay gap, obviously, but because over there in England, soccer is the thing. The amount of money generated by the EPL dwarfs that of MLS. So the players make more. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. Oh man, but let's keep going. So for years, this is Stuart. For years, women have relied heavily on off-court sponsorships for a majority of their income. Stewart said, with Unrivaled, we're revolutionizing the game by prioritizing investments in our stars and ensuring their on-court performance is reflected in their pay. That is definitely a investor-centric PR marketing statement that was written for Brianna Stewart. For sure. It sounds great, right? It sounds great off the top of your head if you don't think about it too much. But here's what I found really interesting, especially considering the WNBA has never turned a profit in 30 years. The league will offer the highest average salary for a women's professional sports league with six-figure deals, with all 30 players receiving equity. Like I said, they're going to get equity. That means that league needs, in order for that to matter, the league needs to turn a profit. Now, highest average salary for a women's professional sports league. As any did you now? I think it would probably take quite a bit of time and effort for me to figure that out. But as a journalist for the New York Post, do you think maybe you could have done a fact check on that? I would be interested to know that. How many? Anyone know how many women play in the top tour on in tennis or golf? I'm guessing those that play in the top tier, the top tour, do pretty well. I mean, I know the women get paid the same amount of prize money, I believe, at all four major tournaments. So there's a good amount of money in women's professional tennis. Of course, in sports like tennis, as a player, you have to produce. You have to earn that. You're not guaranteed anything other than endorsements if you have them, if you're lucky enough to have them. But that's really interesting to me. That I mean, I don't know how you make that statement, and if you don't have numbers to back it up, I'd like to see that. Now, the league has a lot of support behind it in terms of investors. Alex Morgan, the longtime U.S. women's soccer star, she has an investment firm. Through that, she's got a bunch of other people involved. different athletes, executives, etc. You got people like Steve Nash and Carmelo Anthony, and unfortunately, UConn coach Gino, who's just a nut job. But which makes me think that their league's not going to ask Caitlin Clark because I don't think Gino could handle that. But you've also, this is key. You've got ex-ESPN president John Skipper, ex-Turner president David Levy, both on board. They'll help with landing a media rights deal, which that is going to be the key to whether the league can make a profit. That is going to absolutely be the key. Now, it says Stewart here has been at the center of the league's push for charter flights, which were finally approved in 2023. I believe they were approved for what? The playoffs, or a certain portion of the playoffs. We all know charter flights for the regular season that happened this year were 100% because of Caitlin Clark. Period. Now, what's really interesting, and this is Collier who's talking in May, it's really important to us. Compensation is a huge part of Unrivaled as a league and a business. All the players in this first year will have equity in the league. For players to have a piece of the pie, essentially to grow their generational wealth, is something we're really excited about. And again, that goes back to turning a profit. Now, here's the key to that. 8-week long season. So, right, it's short, 30 players, 6 teams. So if they do it all, this I'm thinking of this in terms of the business viability and the profitability. If they, let's say they all make a flat 100,000, right? It says 6 figures, it doesn't, but let's just say it's 100,000 to keep it simple. That's 3 million just in player salaries. And they have to produce enough to pay that plus all the other league costs in 8 weeks. Now, you're probably not going to get a ton of live attendance just because of the nature of the, it's like it's a side thing. And, anyway, I'm not saying you won't do decently, but, it's not going to be drawing 10, 12, 15,000 people. But if they, and because of that, if they can play these in, some larger high schools or, smaller community colleges where they can get deals for the courts and everything at a really good rate, flat fee, ticket share, whatever it is, and they can get these games on TV, which is why they have guys from ESPN and Turner, I think it's definitely viable that they could turn a profit. Now, here's the really interesting part that I'm going to leave you with. Caitlin Clark, they've gotten a third of the players that they need. They've gotten 10, they need 30. Will they ask Caitlin Clark? But more importantly, did they ask Caitlin Clark and she said no? And the reason I say that is because if they asked her and she said no, they're not going to say that. Caitlin Clark's certainly not going to volunteer that because that's just not who she is. Now, for me, I don't think she should do it if she is asked. Uh, Not because anything else that is going on, but I'm just thinking in terms of her career. She doesn't need the money. I think she is much better off doing what she needs to do in the off season to get ready for the WNBA season. Off seasons are so important for athletes, not even just professional athletes, whatever level you play on, professional athletes, because not only do you get to rest and recover, but you get to go through your training program that is designed to help you be better for the next season. This takes two months of that away, but also adds all the wear and tear with the competitive season and so on and so forth. So, but I don't know if they will. That's the thing. But if they do, I guarantee you then the league is going to do much better with Caitlin Clark than it's going to do without her. Again, can they make money without her with this setup? If they do everything right in terms of keeping costs down and they all play everything in Miami for 8 weeks and put up the 30 players there and they get a media rights deal, if they can get a media rights deal, even with a streaming service, on Amazon or whatever, even if they're not live, because it's streaming, right? They make it on demand. I think they can do it. Now I don't know how many games they're going to be. Is it going to be 2 games a week for each team? So they'll play 16 games, and and then you have what is I don't know how many that is total. I'm not I'm not going to try and do the math, but 2 games per week. So I think that they've got a shot, and I think that that could help the WNBA. I think maybe the players might start looking at the way that they have to run Unrivaled in order to turn a profit to go to the WNBA and start thinking, okay, yeah, it's been great having the NBA cover losses and stuff, but if the WNBA can run itself better, then maybe we can make more money. So there might be that positive there. I also think this was a great time for Unrivaled to happen. I don't know if it was a happy accident or because you would think something like this took some serious planning, right? So I don't know that they were thinking about Caitlin Clark, but this was like the best season they could ever possibly launch this league because even if she's not in the league, there's going to be so much more interest in the league because of everything that's going on with the WNBA this year because of Caitlin Clark. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of having this 3v3 league? Is it good? Is it bad? Do you think maybe they should focus more on the WNBA making money and expanding? They are only a 40-game season with 12 teams. I know they've got Golden State coming, um, but it's still the NBA is 82 games. So there's still a lot that the WNBA could do to expand, but they need to make some money. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I really do appreciate it. I think we've just cracked 5,800, slowly creeping till 6,000, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to leave it there. I will talk to you later.